Third Age, war came again to Middle-earth, as the will of Sauron searched anew for his ring. The Dark Lord compelled many into his service, including Saruman, a once great and wise wizard. Thus war came to Rohan, forcing King Theoden to seek refuge in the fortress of Helm's Deep. And now a vast army shall assault these ancient walls with siege ladders and war machines. To survive, the defenders must hold the deeping wall and the gate to the keep, but all must beware the devilry of Saruman's devices. Trusting his army had destroyed Theoden's people at Helm's Deep, Saruman believed himself secure in his tower of Orthanc. But the ringed walls of Isengard proved no defense against the vengeance of Ents. And within Saruman's pits, many wrathful Rohan prisoners awaited liberation, while his machineries belch foul vapors. Above, Saruman directs his defense and marshals his sorcery, for the battle is far from certain, and now Ent and Rohirrim alike must face Saruman's wrath. To the north, the mines of Moria also grow ever more deadly. Here, in times past, Gandalf cast down the Balrog after days of combat. That terrible battle cost him his very life, but permitted the Ringbearer to escape those dark and dreadful halls. But the great underground city of Moria still remains a breeding pit for goblins and other foul things. Now is the moment when the free people must at last reclaim Moria, and Gimli the dwarf shall lead them. Yet all must remain wary, for fissures open everywhere, and Gandalf fears that a new evil might stalk those ancient halls. Osgiliath shall play yet another part in this war. Faramir brought the Ringbearer here, but wisely allowed him to continue his quest. Now a garrison of Gondor's defenders keep watch, ever wary. The warriors that hold this outpost secretly hope for Faramir and his Ithilien rangers to return at dawn. But the ranks of the orcs continue to swell, and hope alone is but a flimsy shield. Silence shrouds the far shore of the Anduin, as the defenders of Osgiliath are left alone to sharpen their fears. In the gathering darkness, dawn cannot arrive swiftly enough for these brave men of Gondor. Now the darkness falls upon Gondor, and Minas Tirith is encircled by a ring of iron-shod malice. Great siege towers lumber towards the beleaguered walls, each burdened with a deadly orc horde. Upon the main gate, the Dark Lord unleashes Grond, a terrible battering ram of wolf-like wrath. For hope of victory, Gondor's warriors must hold each ring of their city for as long as they're able, before retreating deeper within their burning citadel. Riding to death and ruin in relief of Minas Tirith, the riders of Rohan smash into the heart of the Orc. Nothing on the fields of Pelennor can resist their fury. Beset on all sides by siege towers and great wall nests, Theoden's brave warriors must also overcome an endless tide of orcs and warriors. But should the Rohirrim do sufficient damage to Sauron's armies, surely the Witch King shall be drawn free. His defeat will turn the tide of battle, for it is said that fear binds them to his cause. In ages past, the Dark Lord seized Minas Morgul and corrupted.
Ale ja cię prosiłam, abyś nie kruszył, ja już chwileczkę odkurzałam, tak? Tak mówiłam wyraźnie? Maleńka perełka moja, kochana, maleńka. Piękna uroczyszcza. Pani da dawcę dobrego do jedzenia, tak? Ale
A small, brave army stands at last within the jaws of Sauron's trap. But the courage of men will not fail and their hope will not fail. For they hold that their sacrifice at the Black Gate of Mordor shall gain time for Frodo to at last destroy the One Ring. And in this final hour, the captains of the West must continue to fight for their freedom while their breath still remains. Weakened by the One Ring's power, at last Frodo claims it for himself, and the very foundations of Middle-earth are shaken. The Dark Lord desperately hopes for his very body to be restored, but to stride forth upon Middle-earth once more, Sauron requires Frodo's ring, and for this he will gladly pay any price. At the Dark Lord's command, his Nazgûl now hasten to Mount Doom, all other thoughts banished from their minds. They obey but a single deadly aim: to slay Frodo and gain the ring, now that it lies within Sauron's grasp. Many orc garrisons boldly dare to covet the ring for themselves, rising up in riot and civil war, and marching upon Mount Doom. But the onrushing Nazgûl shall tolerate no delay, and will slay any dark servant who dares block their path. Crossing the River Anduin under a blanket of darkness, an orc scouting force begins Sauron's renewed assault upon our world. The orc onslaught will be launched at midnight, striking like a dagger at the heart of hostility. The most deadly blow shall be struck by an elite horde, lying in wait upon the far shore. Their siege machines are poised to rain fire down upon the hated rangers. The orcs await signals from hidden scouts to identify their targets. For those dark hearts wish greatly to see Osgiliath burn. Minas Tirith is breached. The gates are shattered and the lower walls of the city are overrun. The men of Gondor attempt a valiant defense, but Sauron's hordes have taken full measure of this frail city, and they will not be denied. The guards of the citadel shall defend their city to the last man, and it may soon come to that. They all fear the end draws near, for the darkness is nearly complete. Upon their relentless march, the armies of Mordor must now pass through the mines of Moria. It is here that Gimli has chosen to make his final stand, but he and the other survivors have had no time to prepare their defenses. And Moria yet remains a dark and dangerous realm for all who dare enter its gates. It is feared that Sauron holds knowledge of Moria's darkest secrets, and has charged his force with a terrible ritual. For the sake of the dwarf and his followers, we must hope the Dark Lord's power cannot yet call into this world a Balrog of Morgoth. The armies of the West have been forced to make their final stand upon the ruins of Weathertop. Here, in ages past, the Witch King led his great host in terrible victory. And here the northern armies of men were crushed, the tower of Amon-Su reduced to ruin. Now the broken stones of this place shall bear witness to a last desperate struggle, for there can no longer be any retreat from the onrushing forces of darkness. Rivendell has become an island, storms raging upon all sides. The last elves of Middle-earth have gathered with me here to make our final stand. Should the elves of Rivendell fail to halt Sauron's onrushing tide, little will remain to resist the smothering darkness. We must sacrifice our immortality here, in service of all that yet survives in Middle-earth. At last the Dark Lord's iron fist encircles the innocents of the Shire. There will be no escape for the hobbit from the war that now enters their quiet woods. The last free men might attempt to aid them, but all must face an overwhelming enemy. Warg riders and great war beasts mass for the attack, and none left alive can withstand their power. Perhaps at last the Dark Lord himself shall come forth to gloat in his triumph. Perhaps then, with Gandalf, we might sell our own lives most
did. In desperation, Trevi leads the final march of the Ents. With their aid, and with many halfling archers, perhaps the Shire can resist for a brief while.